And it's something that I can successfully say that I've done it. And before the year started, I had a target of impacting around 100,000 job seekers, something that I can say that, yes, we've had so many successful stories, so many interview invites. And because I cannot do this one by myself, I cannot be a jack of all trades. I get now to also get people to help me also pass this knowledge. And today we have a speaker with us. Our speaker is Coach Lorraine. And because I'm not even able to introduce her, I'll give her a chance to give us her full introduction. And yes, as we also wait to get into the meat of this session. Karibu Lorraine.
Asante sana, Coach Kevin. I feel like today has been a day of me introducing myself. I was just from another event earlier today. So yeah, I'm so glad to be here and so thankful for the 22 of us who have joined. Thank you so much for taking the time to actually want to learn about something. And I'm hoping that by the end of the hour that you're going to be spending together, you're going to come out with actionable plans, and you're going to come out with strategies in which you can employ for you to start working remotely. So my name is Lorraine Otieno. I am the founder of Beyond the Savannah, and I'm also a career coach. I am a HR professional with 9 years of experience. I have worked locally, and I've also worked globally, and I have worked remotely. So just in case someone is wondering, what does Beyond the Savannah do? What the hell is this? So Beyond the Savannah is a company that promotes remote jobs, particularly to the African youth. So when you go onto Google, www.beyondthesavannah.co.ke, you're going to come across several jobs on our website. One, so that is free, we do not charge. And then we also have a segment where we deal now with the talent readiness. We work on, upskilling you or recommending courses for you to upskill. We work on revamping your CV, LinkedIn. Think kind of me and Kevin are in the same space, right? So CV, LinkedIn, coaching. But the difference is this is not suitable for remote work. So you make it suitable and employable in the remote space. So that is what we do.
Okay. Thank you so much, Lorraine. And yes, I've been following you, and I got a lot of requests from the audience that, yes, bring us Lorraine, because she's an expert in this remote work experience. Bring her at least to give our insight. So just to give you a brief, most of my people I've interacted with, they've been trying to get the remote job opportunities. But in most cases, whenever they try applying, they face a lot of rejections. Some of them don't even get an interview. Some of them go to an extent of getting the interview. So this is why I also thought it wise to bring you on board to at least give us some wisdom on how we can go about this. But before we get into it, one thing I would love to know is, can you maybe start by telling us your journey? Can you start by telling us your journey and how you transitioned into remote work, and some of the challenges that you faced? Going backwards, you can say these are the things I would love to do differently.
Yeah, sure. So I started off, did high school, of course, went to university, I went to USIU, did my undergrad degree in accounting, which I absolutely loved. And the reason as to why I did accounting was because I love business studies and I love just balancing, the balance sheet, that was my thing. So after doing that, when I went for my internship for a period of 3 months at certain company, I felt like that was not it. That was not my thing. So then I went ahead and registered for my master's and did HR. Just before, I think 2 months in, I was doing my thesis. Mabati Rolling Mills put out an application and they're looking for graduate trainees. And the only vacancy that was there that I could fit in, per se, was in HR. So I decided, you know what, let me just give it a try. So I sent in my CV. no connections, promise, cross my heart. I send in my CV. We get invited to interviews. We are 50 of us. The interviews were done in Mombasa. I was excited just to be in Mombasa, to be honest. I'm the first one to get into the interview. I'm asked a bunch of questions, and I'm asked one particular question that I really didn't have an answer to it. But what I told the panel was, I'm not sure about the answer. I really don't know about this, but I'm willing to give it a try. So they said yes. So I gave it a try, and turns out the answer that I gave was actually the correct one. So years later, months later, after I've gotten my offer, so I was picked right out of 50. I was curious, so why me out of 50, right? So I asked my manager then, and it was like, it was that question, you trying, that actually landed you the job. So if there's one pointer that someone should come out of this, is that whenever you don't know anything, try. It's okay to feel scared. It's okay to do it scared. It's okay to do it tired, but you just try. I think that is a skill that employers really want to see, right? If you're a problem solver, yeah. So 6 years down the line, my batch is great. I've gotten into HR, generalist. I've specialized talent management. And I start to feel like my potentials are being fully utilized. Yeah, I can do so much more, which is a normal employee life cycle. So if there's anyone who's feeling like they can do so much more, and yeah, so just go for it. So then I decide to, one night I'm scrolling on TikTok, and I see this Latam creator, and she's talking about remote work. She's working for a US company. She's based in a Latin American country. And I favorite it. The next day I go in and I Google the company. It was Superside. I send in my application. 2 weeks later, I invited for an interview. I go through a series of 5 interviews, from meeting the hiring manager to doing a psychometric assessment test, to doing a case study. I'm doing presentations, and then I meet the VP, that is the vice president of the HR department. Then I land the job. I think at some point I told my hiring manager then that, yo, Miguel, even if I don't get this job, please let's be friends, because we had seen each other so many times.
Yes.
And I think that is to say that it's not going to be easy, especially for the people who are getting themselves in an interview and failing. It isn't easy, and it's designed to be difficult so they can sift the best out of the best, right? Yeah, so I landed my first remote job in January of 2022 by a company called Superside, an amazing company, design tech. The thing with, I know you've told me talk about the challenges. The thing with remote work is that you have to understand that it's coming from a manufacturing setup. So any issue with my computer, I'll be like, I can't say the name, but X for IT. Come take your computer. It's not opening. What's going on, right? And now I find myself in a situation where I have to be my own IT personnel. So you need to have basic IT skills, right? No one is coming to fix your computer for you. I find myself in a multicultural environment. Thankfully, USIU had exposed me to that, but not to the level that Superside was exposing me to. I find myself in a multicultural environment. I find myself with people who come from Google, Meta, Amazon, geniuses, just by how they're speaking and the experience, right? So there's also a lot of imposter syndrome that can come into play. So those are some of the challenges that I faced. So one, technology. I'll be honest with you, when I joined, I didn't know what Slack was. So right now, I'm always telling my clients that familiarize yourself with what Slack is, familiarize yourself with some of these remote tools, so that you don't face the same difficulties that I did when I was getting in. Yeah.
Oh, that is amazing. Graduating from 8 to 5 to a fully remote job. How many jobs did you have to apply before just landing the contract with the Superside?
I always tell people this, and they're like, you're lying. I had to apply to hundreds of jobs. And even within that time span, I think I did 5 interviews and I got rejected. Right? So I know this is going to sound like woo-woo, but what I'm a huge believer of, I know we started by praying. I'm a huge believer of whatever is yours is yours. It will find you, and whatever is not yours will pass you by. But in the same spirit, you need to prepare for whatever it is yours, right? You need to prepare for your blessings. So you cannot just sit and be like, oh yeah, whatever is mine is mine. Yeah. So he did 100, did 5 interviews, got rejected 4, and landed that one. So you always just need that one, yes.
Okay. Oh, that is amazing. And now, based on your experience, and you experience both in HR and doing these remote jobs, why do you think that many job seekers face rejections for remote roles, and what common mistakes should they avoid?
I think the number one mistake, now that I've been there, right? Now that I got myself into remote work, I was in HR in the remote space. I think the number one mistake that people tend to make is that they underestimate the kind of work that needs to be put in when they're looking for a job. So that is number one. Looking for a job is a job on its own. It requires patience. It requires hard work, it requires perseverance. So keep on going, right? I always tell my clients that you need to apply to at least 3 jobs in a day. If you're applying to less than 3 jobs, you're not doing enough. At the end of the day, even with a revamped CV, even with a LinkedIn profile optimized, it is still a game of numbers. So you want to increase the probability of you getting a job by applying to several jobs, right? That is one. And in an interview setting, what the recruiters want to see, particularly in remote, is that can you do the job? Everyone loves, right? So can you do the job? And I think there's one thing about us as Africans, how we are socialized, is that we don't ask questions, you don't interject. It's deemed as being rude. We wait to be asked questions, right? And that can often come off as being timid, per se. So there's a sweet balance. I'm not saying that now we get into interviews and we are hyper, we lack decorum. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we can let our personalities shine through a little bit. Because remember, your competition is global, right? Your competition is that America's candidate who is loud and you might think is obnoxious. Your competition is that LATAM candidate who is equally loud, and when you get into a meeting with them, you will see their personality from the get-go. Right? And then you have an African candidate who appears to be a little timid and a little shy and less confident. So even if you are a recruiter, and this is a remote company where connections actually matter, and because you're going to be connecting over Zoom like this, so are you going to be a good culture fit? So that's why I always advise my clients, let your personality come through a little bit. And especially in Kenya, we're advised that, you be professional, and being professional means being serious, being macho man type of thing. That's not going to fly in the remote space. So have your personality come through a little bit. It's going to be uncomfortable, but just do it, right? So there is that. And then work on your on your pronunciation, work on just your delivery of what it is that you are bringing to the table, right? And then you also want to work on demonstrating that you've got knowledge. So do you understand why you're doing what it is that you're doing? I have an example to share. So I've got a client who we worked on her CV, worked on a LinkedIn profile. She ended up bagging 6 interviews as a customer service professional. And you know what? She flopped all of them. Then she came looking for me. It's like, yeah, Lorraine, I flopped all my 6 interviews, which is amazing to land 6 interviews. I'll be the first one to admit, right? And then I asked, what was the reason? So apparently she was answering questions in short form. What are the best skills for a customer experience professional? Empathy and problem solving. And one interviewer, and we all know that it is empathy and problem solving, right? But what they want to understand is that, do you understand the reason behind why it is empathy and problem solving? So one of the feedback that she was given was that work on your sentence formulation. Can you imagine? Like, who doesn't know how to form a sentence, right?
Yes.
As Kenyans, surely, if you tour Tanzania, then you can say, okay, maybe. But as Kenyans, right, that shouldn't be the fact. So I say all this to mean, let us, I think, put in the work that is required. Remember, the competition is global and everyone is looking for these opportunities. So put in the work and show up.
Okay. Wow. Any other reason as to why you think also there's a lot of rejection Does the profile, especially our online profile and portfolio, play a role, especially when these people are doing the due diligence?
It actually does, right? So there's the reason as why if anyone follows me, I'm always yapping about ATS-friendly CV, optimized LinkedIn profile, and there's a reason for that. So most of these remote companies and some on-site companies as well use what you're calling an ATS. For those who don't know what an ATS is it's an applicant tracking system, and it's a system that companies use for shortlisting because of the hundreds or even thousands of applicants that they're getting every single day for a job that they've posted. So they need to use that to make sure that, they're fair, they're efficient, and, they're not discriminatory. So they use a system. That is going to be the first hurdle that your CV faces, right? So I always say, now that we know what they're using, we can sort of like bypass the system, right? So make sure that you have an ATS-friendly CV, then make sure that your LinkedIn profile is also optimized. I am yet to come across, in all honesty, Kevin, I'm yet to come across a remote role that just needs a CV. They always need a CV, they always need a CV, they always need a LinkedIn profile, and they always need, some companies are going to need an introductory video. So when someone says CV and LinkedIn, and let's just say for some reason your CV goes through, right? And you interest them, they're going to check you out. They're going to want to see, okay, so who is Teresa or who is Mario, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going to check you out on LinkedIn because that is a socially acceptable social media page for all professionals. So if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, then you miss out because that's a huge red flag, right?
Mm-hmm.
If your LinkedIn profile doesn't match what you have on your CV, that's another red flag. I think also you have to be cognizant of the fact that they do have options. So any red flag is enough for them to drop you, right? Remember, they have choices. The
Yes,
CVs
yes.
are coming in, and they're competing with people who are equally good at their jobs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So have yourself a ATS-friendly CV, have yourself a LinkedIn profile, work on that introductory video where you're speaking about yourself, right? Make it natural, make it authentic, have a little bit of personality, have a little bit of passion, and then send out applications.
Yes, I want to agree with you on a point because there's a lot of confusion that I've witnessed with a lot of candidates in that somebody believes that once they've revamped their LinkedIn, they've optimized, put in the roles, the education, that is enough for a recruiter to know if you are the right candidate. One thing I remind them is that these are the things that have already been seen on your CV. And LinkedIn is a platform for you to showcase your talent. It's a platform to help you answer the interview questions. And you should be active because just like you've said, your candidate that you coached failed just because she could not formulate better sentences. So you realize somebody say, I'm a problem solver, I'm a strategic thinker. But now when it comes to it, you realize that it's totally opposite. I've also coached candidate whereby somebody tells me, I'm very good with written communication and verbal communication. But now when you get to their LinkedIn page, you'll realize the first thing that you'll see is a lot of spelling mistakes here and there. You will see maybe they're not active, they don't know how to express themselves. Because one thing, even these people know that there exists people called career coaches and CV revampers. You can't give somebody your CV to work on and then maybe coach you for the interview. But now the LinkedIn platform will give you a match leverage. So I want to agree with you on that particular point. So
Yeah, Kevin, might I add one more thing?
Yes.
I've also come across profiles that don't even have a picture.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone cannot see you, how are they going to connect with you? Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think the basic minimum plus extra.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes, just to add on that, so what strategies can job seekers use to make their resumes, cover letter, and interviews stand out for a remote position?
Okay. So in order for your resume to stand out, you need to add the remote tools and softwares that are being used in your current field, right? And if there's one mountain that I will always die on, if there's one thing that you need to take out of this, aside from just having an ATS-friendly CV, is that do short courses. So do value addition. Your diplomas, your degrees, your masters, your PhDs are not enough. Most of these remote companies are going to be startups. And the only constant that is in a startup environment is change.
Mm-hmm.
And people who tend to thrive in an ever-changing environment are actually agile thinkers. So how do you demonstrate to a recruiter without having a conversation with them that you're an agile thinker? Is by always looking for, you know, the next trend, looking at benchmarking in your industry, et cetera, So register to the short courses. Look at your industry, whether you are in accounting, apart from CPA, SCCA, what else can you do in terms of a short course, right? If you're in HR, what can you do in terms of a short course? If you're in customer service, marketing, what can you do? So have that mentality of always seeking more, because those are kind of the people that are thriving. And all remote companies look for a certain type, which is type A personality, right? So you need to demonstrate that when you have vigor for life, and you know you've got a growth and learning mindset. You can only do that by constantly upskilling. So if there's one thing that you should take away from this is upskill.
Yes, also, you see, that is very important. One thing I find with most people, and this is something that I've seen cuts across so many people looking for jobs, is that we are looking blindly. It's like you're going there, anything that comes my way, I will do it. Then once I get the opportunity, I'll get the relevant skills now to perfect myself in that job. It is very easy to, sometimes I say it is very easy to get the remote work. But now the challenge that comes is keeping that remote work, because maybe on your CV, you've elaborated how you're good with how you're good with collaborative tools, how you're good with maybe the CRMs. But now when given the opportunity, is you realize that you are novice and there's nothing that you can explain. So what are these specific skills, for instance, that cuts across, especially when it comes to the transferable skills, that cuts across, that everyone looking for a remote job should measure on and perfect for them to stand a chance of getting hired?
Okay, cool. And I think I want to double down on what you said. So yes, anyone can work remotely. Like when you look at my profile, not to dim my light, or you know, to shine a little bit dim. No. I have the same skills as any other HR professional. The only difference between when you look at my CV and someone else's, any other HR professional, is that I have actually invested in my upskilling. So same with Superside. I did ask my manager what got me this role, because I always like feedback. And the answer was my coaching. So I invested heavily in being a coach. And that was, I say, because it was a whooping 450,000 Kenya shillings course for 16 weeks, right? But at the time, Superside was looking for that, a HR professional who was also a certified coach. So that's what got me my job, right? Now, to answer your question, the skills that are transferable, I always say, one, your presentation skill, because you're going to find yourself in meetings with CFOs, CTOs, directors, and VPs. So you need to be able to, one, enunciate your words correctly. You need to be able to communicate what it is that you're saying properly and in a manner that can be understood. So you need to work on your presentation skills. If you don't, I was very privileged that at USAU, we used to do like team presentations once a week. You get into first year like this, all the way till you finish, it is just presentation. And I used to hate it, but I came to appreciate it, right? So if your school doesn't do that, or if you're not comfortable with presentations, use the Google, right? And practice. Do a presentation on who is Veronica, who is Sylvia, what skills do you have, and just practice. So get comfortable with presentation skills, communication skills. I cannot overstress this. The official language spoken in remote companies is English. So you need to practice how to communicate precisely and concisely. Yeah. Then the other skill is time management, because at the end of the day, no one is going to be time tracking you. You need to be responsible and you need to be diligent. Think about it this way: there's no clock in or clock out. You are your master of your time, and it is all based on deliverables. No one cares how many hours you've taken for lunch. No one cares, the number of hours that you've worked. So you need to work on your time management skills. You need to work on your communication. You need to work on your presentation skills. You need to work on having data-driven decisions. This is something that I didn't get at my first company, right? And I was shocked that you're coming in and you're giving out suggestions, and they're like, okay, so what are the numbers behind this? Is anyone who has not done a data analytics course, please go ahead and do that. It's super important, because the only thing that CFOs and CTOs and VPs care about is the numbers. You need to understand what those numbers are, how to interpret those numbers, and how to then take proper decisions based off of those numbers. Then, if you're here and you have not done an AI essential course, what are you doing, right? That is the buzzword at the moment. So I guess I say all this to say, keep abreast of the trends, right? So those are some of the general skills. Then now let's look at the function-specific skill, right? So that you can find through Google. We cannot cover that. I think the time is not enough for us to cover through all that. But just have a look at, if it's HR, DI is a hot topic right now. Coaching, mentoring is a hot topic right now. If it's customer service, customer feedback, customer satisfaction, NPS, what are those, right? So have function-related skills, right? And also, so I call them technical skills, then also have the general skills. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's amazing. You say that data analytics is the icing of all these stuffs.
It is, and yes, because all they care about is the numbers, and do the numbers make sense? That is something that I had to learn the hard way.
One of my bosses used to tell me that numbers don't lie. So if you want to earn your seat at the table, at least come with these numbers. Yes,
absolutely.
Just while on that, you realize that there are people who get these jobs, they work, they sign contracts, but along the way, they realize that they have done zero work. They've been robbed of their resources, they've been robbed of their time, they've been robbed of even their intellect. What are some of the red flags, especially when it comes to application to the signing of contracts, that job seekers who are looking for remote jobs should be vigilant on?
And I also think it's important for us to start by saying that most remote jobs you're going to be hired as an independent contractor. Just because most of these companies, of course, they're operating globally. So kind of adhering to all the countries represented, the labor laws of the countries represented is going to be a task, right? So you're going to be hired as an independent contractor. You're clear on that. So what that means is that when you have no, when it comes to litigation, you have no rights as an employee. You can enjoy the benefits of an employee, but you really have no litigation rights, right? So that is that. One scam that I always look out for is, what is the email address that they're using? Is it a Gmail account? That is red flag number one, right? Because for a remote company that is saying that they're hiring distributedly, so that means they're hiring from across the globe, they have a distributed team, there's no way they're going to have a Gmail account. No way. So that is red flag number one. Two, if there's no face-to-face communication, remember I said all these companies have is their brand, and the employees, are going to be the most important asset that they do have, right? So you need to have face-to-face communication with them. If it's only written, scam. If you're hired on the spot, scam. No one is going to hire you on the spot. Even for the people who are being headhunted on LinkedIn, you still have to go through the interview process, which is 5 or 6, right? So if you're hired on the spot, another scam. If you're told, there's another trend that was, September is usually like a hiring surge for remote companies. So in September, most of my clients would come and be like, "Oh, Lorraine, I've been invited to an interview in 20 minutes." And I'm like, that is an immediate scam, right? Because do they think that you don't have a calendar? You don't have a plan? You're just seated waiting for them to come and interview you? Don't they have a plan? Don't they have a calendar? So immediate scam. If there are even small things as spelling mistakes on the job advert, you need to be vigilant about that. And second, and kind of check. And one thing that I like to use, I use LinkedIn to actually double check these companies. So if you are suspicious of any job advert or any job offer, before you get in and you get robbed of your time and money, is that go on to LinkedIn, search that company, go under people. How many people do they have working for them? When was this company incorporated? Strike a conversation with one of them, or two or three. Get the vibe. You can even go as far as going on to Reddit or Glassdoor, right? And just check out these companies. So yeah, those are some of the potential red flags. The other thing is that if you're told that you've landed a job and you need to pay for this course, you need to pay for this training in order for you to get your offer letter, that is another scam. So there are definitely red flags here and there that you need to look out for, because unfortunately, whenever there's a good thing, scammers are always there, right? I always say, yes, we might be desperate. Yes, we want to earn those foreign currency, but you also need to be vigilant as job seekers.
All right. I hope we're learning something, because I've received a lot of complaints whereby someone is being promised a very hefty package when it comes to this job, signing the contract, and then now they come up with stories, or there's somebody who wants to replace you but don't want you to make any payment. So we are fighting for you not to lose this job. And now, because they are guilt tripping you to say, oh, let me give you something out for you to keep for me that particular job. So you need to really stand out. You need to be really vigilant and be keen, especially when we are dealing with these people. Because one thing, yes.
So you get scammed off your time, you get scammed off your skill, and on top of that, they still scam you off your money. That is so sad. That is so sad. And I like what you pointed out, that they're given hefty amounts of money. So the other thing that I usually, and I just remembered when you're speaking, is that you cannot be applying to a 2-year work experience job, and then the payment is $100,000 annually. That is a scam. If you're an entry-level position, you're gonna earn entry-level money, right?
Yes.
If you're a senior level professional and senior level position, you're gonna earn senior level money. So you need to also, be aware of that. And I'm not saying that, the remote companies don't pay well. They do. They actually pay 4 times, 3 times the local market rate. But there's no way a 2-year work experience as part of the requirement is going to earn you $100,000 annually. No way.
Yes, so we need to be very vigilant. And then also we need to take note that scammers have realized that there's a gold mine in remote jobs. Some of them have gone to an extent of creating websites, having fake job adverts. You go through the application, and then you get to do everything, only to be told, for instance, you'll be told maybe to load your credit card, your debit card in the system for them to test if you can send money to them. And then now they get the backlink of maybe scamming you or robbing you of your resources. So these are just some of the things that you need to be on the lookout for. So while on that point, Lorraine, I would love to know, being that, yes, you have a hub of these job opportunities, what is the typical process of applying for this remote job, especially for someone who is green, who just wants to land and start their journey on the remote job search?
Okay, cool. So it normally starts by, you going into a job site. You can visit ours, Beyond the Savannah.co.ke, check out the job, then you're going to click apply, right? You're going to be asked for your CV. You're going to be asked for your LinkedIn, like I mentioned. Those two never misses. Some companies are going to ask for your LinkedIn, for your introductory video. For the companies that ask for introductory video, some companies, again, are going to be lenient enough to allow you to upload a pre-recorded video. Others will want you to click and record there and then when you're sending in your CV and LinkedIn profile. So one thing that I always say is that, the answer to that question or your introductory video needs to be on your fingertips, because you really never know which company you're going to encounter. After that, right, after the attachments, they are going to ask you. Some companies will have any other documents, and this is where I say, for the designers, for the creatives, for the project managers, if you have a portfolio, link that over there on any other documents. Any other function, you don't need to link your certificates. So don't link your degrees, your IDs, no, none of that, right? So you leave that blank if you're not into their tech or creative side, or even a project manager, yeah? chances are they're going to have a number of questions, right? Either are you authorized to work in this country? And I always say, if the question is, are you authorized to work in the country of your residence? Then that is yes. If the question reads, are you authorized to work in the US or in Australia? Then it is no, because chances are they're looking for someone with that in that area, right? No one wants to work visas are very expensive for companies, right? So chances are they wouldn't want to facilitate you on that. Then there are general questions like how many years of experience do you have, blah, blah, blah. Have you worked remotely? And I always say if you worked during COVID time, if you're privileged to work during COVID time, then you have worked remotely. So always click yes, right? And then the others would be just, very specific, dependent on the job advert. And yeah, there are some DEI questions for some companies. So you identify your gender, you identify your place of origin, things of the sort. So don't feel some type of way, because I know most Kenyan companies don't ask for that. So don't get alarmed when they're asking for such personal questions. That answer as honestly as you can. That is just for them to keep up with their DEI score, which is a super important metric for remote companies. Yeah, then you send in your application. So after you send in your application, either you're going to get a feedback from the company, right? Or you're going to get an interview request, or you're going to get a regret. So when you get yourself an interview request, chances are the first interview is going to be with a talent acquisition team. So they're going to do like the HR screening. Are you who you say you are? Do you have the skills that you say you are? Right? So it's really like general screening. So that is the first interview. Then the second interview is either going to be a peer-to-peer, so someone in the department that you're going to be joining, or it's going to be by the hiring manager. Right? So if you're to be meeting the hiring manager, chances are it's going to be more technical. So you want to prepare for more of the technical questions based off of your skills and capabilities and what it is that the job is actually looking for. Right? That's where you get a little bit more techy. Then you meet the peers. If you're going to meet the peers, it's more about the vibe check. Are you going to be a good fit for our department? Are you going to be a good fit for the culture that we have, right? So that's where you have to show your personality a little bit more. Then there is also psychometric assessment tests. When there's psychometric assessment tests, it's always about, just grammar, English, sequencing, math, like the general questions that go really, really, really fast to get like 70 questions or even 80 questions within like 20 minutes. And then they want to see how many correct questions you can get within that time frame. So it's about quick decision making. So it's not about it's less about the correct answers, but more about how many answers you're able to go through, right? So there's that. Then there's a chance that you're also going to have like a case study and do a little bit of presentation before you can actually meet either director, and then some companies will actually go ahead and meet even the CEO. So there is a lot of layers and interviews that you have to go through before you actually land a job. And all that I always say is they're trying to sift, really, because what they're offering their customers is top 1% or top 10% global talent. So they have to be assured that, the person that they're getting is actually good at what it is that they're able to do, and you are able to demonstrate that you can do the work.
Okay. Well, thank you. I know some of us want us to stay here for the next 3 hours, but our speakers have very few minutes remaining. So if you have any question before she steps out, you can utilize the chat session. I'm gonna give chances to 2 people. But before we get to that, I would really love to know, Lorena, when it comes to introductory video, I have a 10-page resume. And the 10-page resume talks about who I am, what I've been able to do. What is supposed to be included in the introductory video?
First of all, your resume shouldn't be 10 pages. It's a novel. I'm not looking to read your life story, right? I've got other CVs to go through. So make sure it is very short and precise. But to answer your question, Kevin, In an introductory video, what they're looking for, 2 minutes is such a short period of time for you to actually ascertain whether someone can do the job or not. So what they're looking for more often than not is actually your communication skills and how well you're able to sell yourself. And that's why I keep on beating the drum of let your personality come through a little bit, right? Sell yourself, let them see the passion that you have. So a few pointers are, 1, introduce yourself. 2, your area of expertise, because you want to always position yourself as an expert in that field, right? Then 3, you want to say how many years of experience do you have, different industries that you've been exposed to. And lastly, why are you passionate about your career path? You need to speak their language, because most of these people, most of the either founders or the recruiters you're going to be finding are actually, non-people of color, and you need to speak their language. And they all love to talk about, oh, my passion is this and this, my passion is this and that. So now that you know what they like to hear, so talk about your passions a little bit more. Yeah, and why you're driven to actually this career path. So it's very, very simple. Very short, very precise, no more than 2 minutes. I always say sweet spot is between 1 and 2 minutes. So sell yourself and work on your communication.
So in short, you're trying to tell us that we need to practice more in the mirror, record ourselves, listen to ourselves.
Absolutely. I once had a client who actually landed a job. So she applied for, and this is on YouTube, by the way, so you guys can go ahead and check it out. She applied for an executive assistant role, ended up landing an operations role. So which is amazing. And she's a 43-year-old woman. Yeah. So it has no age gap. And whilst I was interviewing her, she told me she practiced 150 times for her introductory video. So she had 150 clips just practicing. So you have to do the work.
Can I put you on the spot here?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Can you give us an example of your introductory video in 1 minute?
In 1 minute. Okay, let's do this. Let's get into character. Hello, my name is Lorraine Otieno. I am a certified coach, and I'm also a HR professional with over 9 years of experience working both locally and globally. One of the reasons as to why I particularly love HR is because I get to impact people's lives. I love talent management. I love to ensure that, the employees actually enjoy their time while they're in a company. And because I know that talent hiring is actually one of the most expensive expenses that a company can incur, I want to keep the employees so that we can be able to get the most that we can from them. I hope that with this, we can actually get to work together, and I cannot wait to interact more with you. Thank you.
After this, I'm going to give my number. I've stolen for you what we call Mwakenya. Yes, final question, Lorraine, and then we'll get to the questions. Yes, you can keep questions coming. What is that one practical steps that you can tell the attendees here today to increase their chances of landing the remote jobs?
I think that is very simple. One, again, this is not me selling any of our services, right? Or Kevin's services, but a CV is how you're selling your skills. Mm-hmm. You want to be able to sell yourself because no one is going to come and talk to Mariam or Veronica or Sylvia and be like, or John or Kipchirchi, right? Tell me more about yourself, right? Without them having seen your CV. So work on your CV, because that is where you're selling yourself. That is your brand. Work on your LinkedIn as well, right? Then 3, you cannot be a lazy job seeker. Send out applications. And the people, I've seen like a trait from the people who are landing jobs, because I work with people start jobs within a month, others 3 months, others 6, others I really don't know where they went to. The difference between the people who land jobs and those who don't land jobs is that they keep on going. They keep on sending those applications no matter how many regrets that they have, because you just need that one yes. So
okay,
just those, yes.
It's when the sweet questions keep on popping in my head. Huh? I don't know whether we'll tie you here for the next 3 hours. On LinkedIn, you realize that when you go to that, there's always that button of activating the job when get notification when there's an opening without necessarily having to deal with the timelines. Because I understand that when it comes to remote job, timelines, that the timelines is always important. So what can you tell these people who've been applying for jobs on LinkedIn, maybe in the Pacific, there is the Americas times, and there is all such kind of timings. How can they tell, or how can they go about the jobs they need to apply for them not to waste time on the jobs that automatically they did not get?
So I like that you've asked the question and answered the question at the same time. So the answer is don't apply to America's time zone. That time zones are loosely classified into 5, right, in the remote space. There is EMEA, that is Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And if there's anyone here who watches my video, you will always hear me saying. So that means that you and I can actually have a shot at this because we are in that time zone. So EMEA is where we as Africans, we fall into, right? So there is EMEA, there is Americas, which is the US and the bordering countries. Then there is LATAM, which is South American countries, so Brazil, Chile, or etc. Right? Then there is APAC, which is Asia Pacific. So those are Asia Pacific countries. So you don't qualify for those. And then there is worldwide. And now they've introduced MENA, which is Middle East and North Africa. And I say, as an African, you can apply to EMEA, you can apply to MENA, and you can apply to
I don't know whether it's on my side or she's frozen.
Yeah, she has frozen.
Oh. As we wait for her to come back, let's keep the questions coming. Lorraine, you've frozen. I hope she's coming back to finish on that. So one thing that I would wish that you take here seriously is sending as many, oh, you're back, yes. Sorry about
I'm
that.
back, I'm sorry. So I'm assuming you guys lost me when I was saying, as an African, you need to apply to EMEA time zone. You need to apply to MENA, which is Middle East and North Africa, and you also need to apply to global. Unless they have specifically stated that, yes, they're hiring or they're biased in hiring in New York or Americas, but they're open to hiring candidates from across the globe. That's the only point in which you can apply to those opportunities. But if you find like the location is not worldwide, it is APAC and they're busy sending in your application, you actually don't qualify for those jobs and you're going to get immediately disqualified just for applying to that. Then another question that I usually get is that, can I use a VPN? So maybe I can preempt. No, you cannot. No, they're going to find out, right? And then you're going to get fired. And like I've said, it's not easy getting a remote job. You go through a series of interviews. So you'd have essentially wasted your time. So don't do that.
Okay. All right. I will go now to the questions. Salome is asking, when I apply and I use AI to customize my CV, how do I get past AI detectors?
You do not. There's a reason why there is an AI detector. So you do not. Yes, you can use AI, but personalize it. Okay. If you're looking to personalize it, I guess that's simple.
Peter is asking, do you have to be worried when you are timed out before you finish the online test?
Yes, you actually do. So let your aim be finishing rather than getting the correct answers, because it shows that there's so we've got like different personalities. If anyone doesn't know their personality right now, just Google 16 personalities. It's a free tool. Use that to take your personality test, right? So the different personalities and how quick they make decisions, and some people take longer, they get stuck in their heads. And there is a certain, like I said, there's a certain type of people that remote companies are actually looking for, because they're startups, they want, chop. So yeah, so your aim is to finish the questions.
Maybe you can take the first one. Salome is also asking, what if I'm applying for many roles? How do I ensure my LinkedIn remains optimized and matches the roles? What you can keep on changing is your CV, but your LinkedIn, as long as it captures most of the things that they are looking for, you're good to go. And you can utilize now the content creation, because it's the content creation that will help you outsell yourself. And
maybe I can add on it. I can add on it. I think that is where career coaches actually come into play, right? Because you need to be able to identify, first of all, you cannot do a marketing role, you do a designer role, you're a project manager, you're an accountant, you're an HR. Those are like several roles, right? So you need to identify which one speaks mostly to you, which one are you more aligned to, which one are you really good at? And you can only do so by getting yourself a career coach to help you identify what it is that you're really good at.
Okay. One question I was really forgetting, but number one, I'll tell you, go visit the Savannah website. They update opportunities on a daily basis. Susie is asking, which websites have procurement roles?
Visit our website, that as well. Visit our website, yeah. I'm gonna be honest with you, Susie, there are not many procurement jobs as there would be customer service, as there would be designer roles or even HR accounting, but they're there. So visit our website.
Maureen is asking, which websites are best to search for accounting jobs? Savannah website.
Savannah.co.ke. Yes.
Yes. So that is amazing. There's one last question that I would love to ask Lorraine before you go. How many minutes can you spare for us? This
3 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
One last thing is when it comes to now attending these interviews, and when it comes to, like, you've gotten that job, what are you supposed to do for you to ensure that you keep the job? The reason as to asking this, because you see, sometimes when we want something, we really pray. And once you've gotten it, we forget about the prayer until we see a threat.
Yes, absolutely. And I love that question. There's, I think, one big lie that we're all told, that just work hard. Someone is going to see your hard work. And I always say that that's a lie. So you need to do two things. You need to work very hard, yes, and be productive, right? Meet your deliverables, but also broadcast what exactly it is that you're doing. So let someone know what exactly it is that you're doing. So get yourself a sponsor. I know we talked about getting yourself a coach, get yourself a mentor, and get yourself a sponsor. The difference is a coach helps you with the day-to-day, right? With the successes, with the skills-based, right? A mentor guides you based off of their pre-lived experiences because they've been there before you. So they have knowledge, right? And then a sponsor is someone who speaks your name in rooms that you're not there yet, right? Because either they are senior people in the organization, either, you know, they're in leadership positions, and a sponsor can as well be your manager. So I always say, I think this also goes into, you know, just us as Africans, that you need to, yes, because we work really, really hard. There's a reason why these remote companies are coming to hire Africans, right? But you also need to advocate for yourself, and that can be uncomfortable sometimes. So do the work, but also advocate for yourself, because you're going to see when you get in those spaces, the non-people of color are very bold at what exactly it is that they're doing. Even if they've achieved something small, you will know they've done it. So be your own advocate.
I think this question has emerged a lot. Apart from Beyond Savannah, which other sites can we apply for these other roles?
Okay, so I would say visit remote.co. You can also visit remotive.com. And one last one, workingnomads.com.
Okay.
Yes.
There's also Up to Staff. I think they're also giving some good deals. Alex is asking, you've mentioned career coach. Where can I get access to one? Lorraine is a coach. Coach Kelvin is a coach. There's so many coaches outside here. You can just reach out and talk to them. Then finally, Lorraine, you can give us your contact details in case somebody wants to reach you. How can they find you? But before you do that, I don't know if you'll discuss it publicly, or you'll ask her to see you behind the tent. Susie's asking, how much can one pay for the full package for all Beyond the Savannah services?
So, Susie, that's going to depend. What exactly do you need? And it's such, the reason as to why I don't have an A to Z of remote work is because everyone is unique and there are different levels in their career path, right? So I would want to know, Susie, what exactly are you looking for? What are your pain points? And then we can craft that. So I guess is to send me a DM. You can reach me on Beyond the Savannah. Actually, yes, it's Beyond the Savannah on all our social media platforms. We're on Facebook, we're on X, we're on TikTok, we're on LinkedIn, we are on Instagram. We're literally everywhere. Just type Beyond the Savannah, you're gonna see my picture. That's where you know you've landed correctly. And then Dan is also asking, are the sites free? Yes, they are free. Quick note, right? If you've noted, I haven't talked about flex jobs because you have to pay for that, right? So I've given you free websites, including Beyond the Savannah, which is free. We don't charge for you to have access to the jobs.
Okay. Yes, can I get maybe just 2 short acknowledgements to Lorraine? Sometimes getting feedback, raw feedback is always good. So the first person I'm gonna give this chance is Felista. How have your experience been? You are the first person on my screen and my eyes have just set on your name, Felista Jepchumba. And then maybe Dan, you'll come, Dan Alwade.
Okay,
Yes.
so your question is how the session has been?
Yes. Would you like
So
her
I
to
want
come back?
Yes. In fact, you know what? This session has just happened at the point where I'm thinking about remote jobs, because as you know, my contract with my previous employer just ended last month. So I'm playing around with this idea and it's just a perfect job. I think I'll reach out to you for behind the tent discussion. But it's one thing I picked is continue applying. Despite the reject responses, continue applying. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Yes, Dan. Oh, okay. Dan is on the move. Peter Mudali. Peter, any word for our chief guest today? Or any volunteer gentleman before I let her go? I'll invite her again for a longer session. I just wanted us to have this session. You get to know her. I'll check her out. You can check her out and you can always reach out to her. One thing about me, I'm not a jack of all trades and I cannot serve everyone. And I'm always also not mean. I can't just bring people who do different things as I do. Sometimes it's good to get insights from different coaches. She said social media handles, just look for Beyond the Savannah. And once you get to those particular platforms, you'll see. I think she's answered that. Any last person maybe who would like to say something before I let her go? Lorraine, the kind of audience I have, they always don't want you to leave and they always will want you to stay. And that is why if you ask for anyone to ask for a question, no one will raise up their hand because they know the moment they do that, you leave. Let me take this opportunity to thank you so much. This was a very insightful session. This was a very insightful session. I think some of these questions we are asking.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I need to respond to Miri because that would be a disservice to her.
Yes.
Yeah. So Miri, we do not charge for access to the jobs. However, what we do charge is in the talent readiness. Remember what we started by saying, that you need to be ready to work remotely. So that is where we get our money from. So
okay.
There.
As you thank Lorraine, don't forget to thank Coach Kelvin Waga because there'll be no this session next time. So Lorraine, thank you so much. I'll reach out to you. We'll organize now these webinars on a full scale whereby we can have people in cohorts. But for now, I'm really grateful. You didn't charge me for this. I didn't charge anyone for this one here because at least, and I'm hoping that each and every one of us have gotten an opportunity to learn something. Thank you so much. And I'm really looking forward to further collaboration with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed, having and chatting with you guys, and I hope we can do so much more of this, Kevin. Thank you for reaching out. I was so honored. And I guess let's end with anyone can work remotely, so go forth and work remotely. Thank you. Have a lovely night, guys. Bye.
Thank you so much. So yes, I'm gonna see which speaker I'm going to invite next, but you can always check the speakers out, and your feedback is always key. Last time I got good feedback based on the speaker that we brought. I would love to, if you think maybe something that was covered, something that you thought that should have been covered best, always feel free to reach out to me, and we will perfect this one as we go. So thank you guys so much for sparing time, and I'm looking forward to hosting you in the next session. We have to get these jobs by force, by fire. So thank you guys, and I want to wish you a good night. Who is going to pray for us? Mercy, would you mind closing for us with a word of prayer? Mercy or Piche?
No, I don't mind. Let's believe and pray. Father, in the mighty name of Jesus, Lord, we thank you. We glorify your name for the wonderful things that you're doing in our lives. We know, Lord, that you have brought this information to us at such a time as this, because, Lord, you are preparing us for a new season. We pray, oh God, that as we send our applications to these jobs, oh Lord, may you open doors for us, mighty Father. I pray for each and every one of us in this team that, Lord Almighty, you may grant them their heart's desires. How I pray for our coaches who have taught us tonight, for the information that they have shared, Lord, we thank you. And we pray, oh God, that you may continue to bless them in every way. May you continue to impact knowledge into them, even as they share it out. We pray, oh God, that even for us as a team, we may be able to share with one another and build one another to the glory of your name. For it is in Jesus' mighty name we have prayed, trusting and believing. Amen.
Thank you, guys. At least we are free to live at our own will. See you. I'll communicate whether it will be on a Saturday or next Sunday. Bye-bye.
Bye, thanks.
Bye, and thank you so much.